I haven't always been super interested in museums. It's something that I used to visit when I took a trip or I was on vacation. It wasn't my top priority or even the thing that I enjoyed the most. And it's only since I started to study art online to learn a little bit more about art history and even to go draw at the museum and spend a lot more time in front of the works that I started to appreciate the museums a lot more. So when I was planning a trip to Alsace to meet some friends, I decided that I absolutely didn't want to miss a few things. If you don't know it, Alsace is a French region. It is at the German border and it has very characteristic architecture, some very nice food specialties, and also a very rich and interesting cultural and artistic history. My friends are in Colmar, which is very near the city of Strasbourg, and I decided to take a stop in Strasbourg. So this is where we went first, because in Strasbourg is the Notre-Dame de Strasbourg cathedral, which is one of the most known and important cathedrals in France, and I absolutely love to visit cathedrals. It's something that has always been fascinating to me, and this one is, well, it's very different, but at the same time I think every cathedral that I visited had something unique and special. So the Strasbourg Cathedral is a Gothic cathedral. It's made in this unique, very different from other cathedrals I've seen, red stone. Also very, very elaborate and decorated outside and inside as well. I think a lot more than other cathedrals that I've visited. But yeah, it's always very inspiring to me. Gothic architecture is my favorite. I have a deep love for stained glass and the play of light and the ornaments and this Gothic aesthetic. In this cathedral there is also a clock. I think it's the word. It's a very, very large clock that unfortunately I wasn't able to film while it was ringing because a lot of tourists like us were a lot more organized and were already waiting with their phones up to film it as it was ringing, and I wasn't. I was just very much in the moment. So after we saw the cathedral, we went just in front of it. There is the Palais Rohan, which is a big building that holds the Fine Arts Museum, the Museum of Decorative Arts, and it was also holding an exhibition at the time, which is still, you can still go and see it, I think, until the end of July. I would have to check, but it was from April to July, and it wasn't intended for me to go there to see it, but I'm very, very glad that there was this exhibition going, because it's an exhibition about the work of Gustave Doré. You probably know Gustave Doré. It's probably the most productive and well-known French illustrator. He was working in the 19th century. Gustave Doré was born in Strasbourg and he lived there before he moved. I think in his late teens, and the exhibition was showing a lot of his original drawings along with a few illustrations, but it was a lot of original drawings, which was very, very nice for me because it's what I want to see the most as an artist and as someone who wants to create art. I want to see how it was made, and yeah, I saw a lot of drawings. Which was interesting is that he was using a lot of mixed media, a lot of crayons with ink, with gouache, with lots of things, sometimes watercolor as well, sometimes washes. Like, he was using a lot of different materials to achieve his effects, and I think it's because he was an illustrator and the drawing wasn't the finished product, it was meant to be engraved. Most of his illustrations were engraved in wood, and I didn't know that. I thought that he engraved them himself for some reason, because he's always credited for the illustrations, but actually he was working with engravers, and he had a very big impact on the revival of wood engraving, wood engraving, I think, woodblock printing. I say engraving because it's called gravure in French, but it's printing. And that was very interesting to see. There was also a few drawings that he did directly on the piece of wood that was meant to be engraved and to print the illustration, because he would draw directly on it, and then the engraver would come in and do his work to respect the illustration and translate it into this other medium that is print. So I was able to see a few of his wood blocks unengraved, which was interesting. It was very shiny. It was said to be gouache on wood, but it looked very shiny, almost like silver. And yeah. Anyway, I also saw an oil painting. I didn't know that he was a painter, but very, very interesting exhibition. I'm so glad that I went. A lot of drawings that I had never seen before, that I don't think I would have seen otherwise or elsewhere. And it's also extremely both inspiring and humbling to see that he was such a genius. He started working very young, at 15, and I knew that he had been very prolific, but I didn't know that he was self-taught, which at the time I find very impressive. That's why I say that he was a genius. It's very, very impressive to me. Then in the evening we went eat at Le Banquet des Sophistes, which I found almost randomly on Google, and it had excellent reviews, and it's very, very, very nice restaurant. I highly recommend the place. We had a delicious meal. And anyway, let's not talk too much about the food. It's been an important part of this trip. I had very nice food, especially in Colmar then, with my friend, because she took me to very nice places that she knows well, because she has an Instagram account where she talks about places to eat and she shares nice addresses in Colmar. On the next day we had to take the train around 11 o'clock, so we didn't have much time in the morning. We went to eat some breakfast in a bakery very quickly, and we went finally to the Fine Arts Museum in Strasbourg. And yeah, it's a beautiful museum. It's in a beautiful building. We were very lucky because there wasn't a lot of people. It was a Thursday morning and it was at the opening time, because I didn't have much time. We had to visit the museum in only 50 minutes, which is not enough, clearly not enough. But as I visited the first rooms that were about medieval art, it was chronologically organized. I love medieval art, by the way, so I was really enjoying them. They have a big, important piece that is one of my all-time favorite paintings, and they put it on display in a way that as you're in the second or third room, there is a very large opening in the wall and you can see this painting. And this was the reason why I absolutely didn't want to miss this museum, because it's one of my all-time favorite paintings. It's, I think it's La Vierge Consolatrice by Bouguereau. And as I saw it in the second or third room, then it kind of spoiled the visit for me, because all I could think about was, I want to get in this room, I want to see it. Because you can see it, but there is a barrier and you can't go there. You can see that it's there, but you can't get close. And then, you know, it's like, I don't know, I didn't count them. I was recording, I was taking a closer look at a few paintings that caught my eye, but I didn't count the rooms. But it's definitely near the end. It's one of the last rooms, and yeah, So as I was visiting the rest of the museum, from this moment until the moment when I finally came in front of the Bouguereau painting, it's all I could think about. And I think I had seen it on the museum's website, because museums usually have a very special piece that they show everywhere, so you want to go there, and this is probably the piece for this museum. So I probably had seen it, but somehow I forgot about it until I saw it again. But there were still a lot of very interesting paintings. Yeah, I'm showing them to you right now. But then there is the Bouguereau, and I'm glad isn't a strong enough word. But I don't have any other word right now, so I'm so glad that I was able to see it in person. Bouguereau is a painter that I absolutely love. It's one of the first painters whose work I discovered when I didn't know anything about, classical painting, art history. I didn't know any painters' names beyond Picasso. I would just type classical painting on Google, and some of the paintings that always caught my eye and that I went back to, and I actually even made a few copies of paintings at this period. It was around 2016. Bouguereau was one of them, and so I didn't remember his name at the time, but his work has inspired me for a long time. So then we went to Colmar, and Colmar is a charming, adorable city near Strasbourg. It's, I think, a 30 minutes train ride between Strasbourg and Colmar. Colmar is much smaller, but it's also very well known for its Christmas market, and it's a very touristic place, so lots of things to do and things to see. It was my third time, going there, but I had never seen the museums. So a few interesting things about Colmar that you may or may not know about. I definitely didn't before I went there. It's said that the city of Colmar inspired Hayao Miyazaki for Hall's moving castle, and especially there is a house, I think it's the Pfizer house. I will put the image so you can see it, but it was the inspiration for the architecture in Hall's moving castle. Another thing is that Colmar is the birthplace of Auguste Bartholdi. Auguste Bartholdi was the sculptor behind the Statue of Liberty, and also the Bartholdi fountain that you probably don't know about, but it's a fountain in Lyon, where I live, that is in front of the Fine Arts Museum of Lyon. The museum that I visited in Colmar is the Unterlinden Museum. It was a very, very nice museum as well. We spent an entire day there, which wasn't the plan. The plan was to spend half a day there and then to go visit the Bartholdi Museum. But there was just so much to see in the Unterlinden Museum, and I was enjoying it so much that I didn't want to rush just to say that I had visited it and just to pack my trip with as many visits as I possibly could. And instead I wanted to just enjoy the moment, enjoy the works, enjoy the beauty of the place as well, and yeah, take my time. It's in a very beautiful building. I think it was a Dominican monastery. Not sure about this, but there is, yeah, beautiful things. There is kind of an inside cloître where you can sit and spend some time, and it's very relaxing. The visit is very well organized. You can see a lot of medieval arts in this museum as well, which is something I love. And the colors of these 500-old paintings were just stunning, just so beautiful and shiny and saturated. It was a feast for the eyes. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I took even more pictures in this museum than I did in the Fine Arts Museum in Strasbourg. And I think the colors were so bright because these had been renovated relatively recently, like in the last decade, and especially there is like the major piece of this museum is Le Retable d'Isenheim, retable, I don't know how it's called. I'm sorry for how many times I say I don't know how it's called. These are religious terms that I don't even know very well in French, so I don't want to translate them and that it means something completely different. So, but this was an amazing piece. Really, it had a room just for it that is kind of in a church place with very high ceiling and arches and elongated windows, and this is just my favorite aesthetic, and I loved the place and I loved this work as well. It was something to see it in person and to be in front of it, and yeah. So that was our morning. We went to l'Artémise. I may not tell you the names of all of the places we went to eat, but I will leave definitely information in the video and in the description below if you want to check it out, as well as my friend's social media post Colmarian, where she shares all of the addresses if you want. We had a meal there and then we went again to the Unterlinden Museum in the afternoon. It's kind of split in two parts, so we had seen the first part in the morning and the second part is like in a different building, but both are connected with a tunnel that goes under the street. So we started there and then we moved up in the building following the direction of the visit. That was more modern art. I think it started in the 18th century all the way to contemporary art, which I'm sorry, I don't care about it. I didn't see anything that I cared about, so I recorded images just for you. I was like going inside the room, taking a look, recording a bit of a video so you can see it, but I don't care much for it. But I had to go through these rooms because on the last floor, so the uppermost floor, there was another exhibition of medieval religious art, which was again absolutely beautiful with beautiful colors. The name of the exhibition is Couleur, Gloire et Beauté, so color, glory and beauty, and this is medieval religious art. The setup was very interesting because the walls themselves were colored and it was just beautiful exhibition, a lot of interactive things for children, and there was a little movie about what a retable is, so the piece that I saw in the Unterlinden main museum before, the Retable d'Isenheim. And then this exhibition was all about retable as well, so it's this piece that goes in a church and that has folding panels and different decorative elements that can be more or less elaborate. It was a very nice touch to finish on, very much needed after the contemporary art section to finish on something nice, something I like, something I want to keep in my eyes. So yeah, that was the Unterlinden Museum. I didn't know what to expect in this museum, but it may be my favorite of the trip. Definitely a very good thing to end on, and I'm a big fan of Gothic architecture and medieval arts, and apparently German religious medieval paintings are a thing that I really enjoy as well. On the next morning we, took it slow and easy before taking the train. We spent some time just walking in the city. We went to this nice coffee shop where there are cute little teddy bears on the walls everywhere, and then it was time to leave and take the train. So I hope that you enjoyed this vlog and this trip to Alsace with me. Let me know in the comments if you did. I would love to chat with you. And if you want to see more, this is a channel where I share my artistic journey. I talk about studying art online and how my study goes, my personal work. I visit museums, I show you a little bit of my surroundings and my trips when I go drawing and painting outside. So if you want to see more of it, you can subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, stay creative, and I will see you in the next one.